Check one. Like that. Dedicated with the message to a soldier. Brother, making it for your child. Teach the truth, cause the future looks wild. Street life, gotta raise the king and stays to the now with no past. Black queens are running wild for cash without a question. Every day's a lesson in the drug profession. Cops arresting me, the same jigs reinvesting. Equipping niggas with the means for making minor figures. Undercovers and surveillance, watch behind the trigger. We live a nation of sin that surrounds. My holy grounds are like hell, and now I seek for higher bounds. Words of righteous sounds deliver me. Mad cess inhibits me from lies. I wonder if my king will ever rise above this shame. So I stay wise and then the whole game. Decorate my soul before my whole frame. Space a product of ghetto sites. With street lights frame a world of corruption. Madman's corruption. Well, what you plan? What you plan, my man? My man. Was in corrupt mode, propaganda sold the big screens, niggas roll with mad dreams. I like leeching off of math fiends. Finally figured out what math means. The finance of life for riches, false promises, manipulating bitches. Honeys in a crib, chopping white, making creamer save their life. Smoking blunts, hit them like a serpent's bite. This is the sight of how we live a lifeless. Us that got the ghetto like this, but blaming God once we have a crisis. The world's orders got us tortured like the seventh seal. No room to heal. We're married to this shit for real. Caught up in the devil's deal. My little kids are making dollar bids and breaking how they move and shit conceal. So I reveal the whole truth. Walk the earth with wall and steel. And bring the structure to the ghetto youth foundation. Time is racing. The whole mess is complications. Revelations, what we should be facing. Technologies replacing mankind. But what's your plan, my man? Cause you can bet the grand and make your mind. What your plan, my man? My man, what you plan? I'm talking structure, foundation, structure, foundation, talking structure, foundation. See the end is coming, niggas be running. The way we survive is stunning. We trade our kids' lives for coming till the heaters got a soldier gunning. They love to kill more than coming cause the ghetto is a game, survived by the cunning. We got men molest the little girls, crack babies, Vegas dusting in pearls. You wanna free the world? Pregnant hookers turning tricks just to get a fix off a dealer's mix. You wanna free the world? Free the world. It's like that.
All right, y'all. Yeah, we good. We good. All right. Peace, chiefs and deers. It's Bronzebird here with another video. Before I begin, like and subscribe. Thank you. So today's video inspired me by a fellow content creator. Shout outs to my bro, Complex Design. You know, I'll put the link to his channel in the description. I just want to show the brother so love for bringing up this information to me. You know, we have an understanding we're in a place of liberalism, socialism taking effect on this country, around the world, making the whole world become westernized and to create almost like a utopia, but more of an autocratic ship when it comes to utopia. And the reason I make this video today is a lot of people may know that Bronzebird in particular does not like Black Lives Matter. He's never been a fan of it. In my personal life, beyond his YouTube stuff, I've actually had full-blown arguments with people that was upset that I said that I don't like Black Lives Matter. And it's fine, but again, y'all gotta sit up there and read the website. I get upset at these brothers that say that, you know, Black Lives Matter is a good thing. You ask them, what does it say on their website? They have all these gestures like, I didn't know that. So my thing is, nigga, you can't read. You don't have you can't understand exactly to read what the organization is about if they have a website, bro. And this is the stuff that perplexes me. You know what I'm saying? It really does perplex me as a so-called Black man or as a so-called African American or from the tribe of Judah. to, you know, have these discussions where people don't even understand what type of organization they're being involved in. And with Black Lives Matter, a lot of people just sit around and they say, oh yeah, you know, it's for the Black community. And later in this video, I'm gonna give my commentary on it as well, to just talk about it, because, you know, I think a lot of people that talk all this stuff about helping out the so-called Black community, it's all smoke and mirrors. And like I said, I think a lot of people is full of shit. They don't mean what they say. They just say a lot of good things just to make it seem as if they're helping people. But they're helping people with their sick, demented agendas and then putting it out on other people. So let's get to it. The reason, again, shout outs to Complex Design. The reason this video is coming up today is because of the fact of the matter, Black Lives Matter takes another step forward of putting their whole entire agenda on children in order to create the whole entire thing that they want them to believe is going to be the equality of this society, what they should do to take on the masses of going against the norm and going against so-called white supremacy. It's all smoke and mirrors, if you ask me. Do you understand? All bullshit. All bullshit. And the thing about it is, the basic one I want to get to is that there's 13 principles that they've proposed and they've actually put into schools. 13 principles. And today, I will be going over those principles with you guys, just so you can see the agendas that they're trying to put on our children, and why I go so hard of telling people, revoke your membership and revoke your support for Black Lives Matter. Do not support Black Lives Matter, especially if you're a so-called Black man. Read what it says on their website, because they're going to tell you everything that you need to know. They will never answer the question on why so-called Black men is not valuable to them. They had to change up a couple of times because they realized a lot of people was catching on to the fact of the matter that they were against nuclear families. So they switched up. But their agendas don't stop just because, you know, they got called out for one thing. And these brothers that's involved in these organizations will never come forward and tell them, why don't you care for so-called Black men if you're talking about the so-called Black community? Do you understand? So really quickly, y'all, or let's just get to the topic of conversation right now. Hold on a second. So this is one they have in DC, right? This is one they have in DC. You know, it makes me really, this one, it gives the same thing as this one, honestly, but this one was in New York City. And, you know, I don't need to read all this, but we're going to get down to the nitty gritty. It pisses me off that it's in New York, but, you know, at the end of the day, New York is a very liberal city. You know, a lot of protests come around here, and, you know, this just to give you a scope of what exactly all of this is. So let's just put this in. Week of Action, Black Lives Matter Guiding Principles, Collective Value, All Black Lives Matter, Restorative Justice, Black Women, Queer Affirming, Black Families, Empathy, Globalism, Transgender Affirming, Diversity, Intergenerational, Love Engagement, Unapologetically Black, and Black Villages. And I'm gonna break all of this down because all the talking points they're using is all bullshit. They give you a little bit spectrum of history and a dusting of history just so they can tell you, oh yeah, we're smart and we know this and we know that. Yeah, I'm telling you, man, y'all need to stop being involved with this organization. Y'all really do. It's not helping y'all. They do not stand for a two-parent household, especially for so-called Black men and women together. They don't amplify heterosexual unions between so-called Black men and so-called Black women. They don't. And y'all can read the website if y'all don't believe me. That's it. So let's get down to the 13 principles they're saying. This is on the DC website. So this is the career educators for DC. So let's check it out. Number 1 says restorative justice. We are committed to collectively loving and courageously working vigorously for freedom and justice for Black people and, by extension, all people. As we forge our path, we intentionally build and nurture a beloved community that is bonded together through a beautiful struggle that is restorative, not depleting. See, and this is the problem with a lot of these woke, dumb motherfuckers that sit up there and have these conversations. First, they want to say all so-called Black people, then they want to say extended to all people, which tells me already that a lot of these Black people do not have a backbone. They say at glance it's all about our people, but they always want to extend to other nations in order to sit up there and say we all need to fight together. And that's the problem with a lot of these so-called Black people in society, man. Number 2, empathy. We are committed to practicing empathy. We engage comrades with the intent to learn about and connect with their context. I don't really know what that means, but you know, of course, it's that soft, you know, R&B, let me love you nonsense that comes along in my head when I think about that. Number 3, loving engagement. We are committed to embodying and practicing justice, liberation, and peace in our engagements with one another. Again, one of those rainbow, we are the world, we are the children nonsense. Number 4, diversity. We are committed to acknowledging, respecting, and celebrating differences and commonalities. Okay, commonalities, sorry. Yeah, let's move on. Globalism is number 5. We see ourselves as part of the global Black family, and we are aware of the different ways we are impacted and privileged as Black folk who exist in different parts of the world. That could be adhering to the philosophy of Pan-Africanism, maybe, because the 3 lesbians that's involved, that's the founders of this movement that's basically financed by a so-called white man, is trying to go off the idea that because you have melanin, you are automatically accepted into this, not recognizing at the end of the day, each so-called Black experience or so-called melanated experience is different because there's different cultures. Cannot apply the Western type of ideology to other people around the country and around the world and think that they're going to get it. Number 6 and number 7 is really going to tell you what they're really about, because they all fall in line with things like the LGBTQ community and feminism. So let's do number 6 and number 7, shall we? Number 6 says queer affirming. We are committed to fostering a queer affirming network. When we gather, we do so with the intent of freeing ourselves from the tight grip of heteronormative thinking, or rather the belief that all in the world are heterosexual unless she or he or they disclose otherwise. Number 7 says trans affirming. We are committed to embracing and making space for trans brothers and sisters to participate and lead. We are committed to being self-reflexive and doing the work required to dismantle cisgender privilege and uplift Black trans folk, especially Black trans women who continue to be disproportionately impacted by trans antagonistic violence. For those who don't understand what cisgender is, the abbreviation means common in society. That's what it means. A lot of people don't understand what cisgender means. It could be used as a pejorative too from the LGBTQ community. And it doesn't hold no weight when they say it, when they call you a cisgender male. You know, it doesn't hold no weight. You know, you're calling someone who actually accepts who they are. They're not denying who they are or trying to change and be like somebody else or pick up a new persona, you know? But to people who don't know what cisgender means, that's what it means. Common in society, that's what it means. So they use terms like that to, you know, either identify you, as much as they claim they don't like to be identified, they have no problem identifying you. And, you know, like I said before, they could use it as a pejorative. So let's go to number 8. Collective value. We are guided by the fact all Black lives matter, regardless of actual or perceived sexual identity. Here we go again. Gender identity, gender expression, economic status, ability, disability, religious beliefs or disbeliefs, immigration status or location. What they're really saying is accept all of the taboos of society that we now give in or we take under our wing as so-called Black people. And any so-called Black person that disagrees with it, you will be excommunicated. That's basically what they're saying. Intergenerational. Number 9, we are committed to fostering an integrational and communal network free from ageism. We believe that all people, regardless of age, show up with capacity to lead and learn. Ain't no 70 and 80-year-old person going to be trying to lead so-called Black people. But oops, I forgot about that. You got that old fart, Joe Biden, that y'all sat up there and voted in and had that so-called black girl doing that damn poetry thing at the inauguration. Yeah, all right. We know. 10, Black families. We are committed to making our spaces family friendly, enable parents to fully participate with their children. We are committed to dismantling the patriarchal practice, AKA they do not want fathers in the home, fellas. That's what it means. They do not want men in the home. Do you understand me? That requires mothers to work double shifts that require them to mother in private, even as they participate in justice work. And this is the funny thing about it. All number 10 is saying is that they're pushing an agenda and a narrative. They do not want the father to be in the home. They think that the father is a bad man, therefore men are bad men. And the fact of the matter is that the single mother narrative must be a sorrow talking point in order for them to justify why Black Lives Matter is there for them. And you already see by 13 who they really want to uplift and who they really want to make the voice of the so-called Black community, because they don't want to see the so-called Black men rise and call out the so-called Black woman on their bullshit and be left alone. That's what you see from number 10. But they need that single mother narrative in order to push the agenda further. That's all a tactic is. Number 11 says Black villages. We are committed to disrupting the Western prescribed nuclear family structure. Again, I didn't told y'all from number 10. They do not want they do not want a two-parent household between a man and a woman, especially for the so-called Black community. Do not let these people fool you. They're lying. Requirement by supporting each other as extended families and villages that collectively care for one another, and especially our children, to the degree that mothers, parents, and children are comfortable. Notice that last line. They said mothers with no fathers. What they did was they went ahead and changed it up and said parents and children. Y'all gotta pay attention to this, man. And share this video with everybody so they can get this message. This is what they're doing. This is what they're doing. So a mother is there, but not a father? And when they talk about Black villages, what comes into my mind, what I really think they thought about when they made this article, I think they was talking about something like Seneca Village. And really quickly, that was a village that was known throughout the 1800s, primarily the 1830s to the 1850s, which became a shanty town when the New York Department of Parks and Recreation decided to gather a bunch of land together in order to create a park in the middle of Manhattan. So a lot of the names for avenues that used to be, I guess, diagonal, because it was all a grid. Really quickly, this was all a grid. So they had a 6th Avenue, a 5th Avenue, a 4th Avenue, and all this other stuff, 7th and 8th. And that's why you hear a lot of people uptown say things like 7th or 8th Avenue without the actual sign being there. So it's a boulevard, but they'll call it 6th Avenue or 7th Avenue. Well, really 7th or 8th Avenue, really. But the Seneca Village comes to mind. Number 12, unapologetically Black. We are unapologetically Black, which I always defend, and I say Black is a color. It is upholding the racial concept that came around from philosophers. That's what happened in the hierarchy of society. So Black is at the bottom, white is at the top. To the opposite attracts. That's why it's always this thing about so-called Black people and so-called white people still being taboo to each other. In affirming that Black Lives Matter, we need not qualify our position. To love and desire freedom and justice for ourselves is a necessary prerequisite for wanting the same for others. And their whole entire speech is globalism. Understand what they're saying, globalism. That's their whole entire mindset. It's not about helping the Black community at all. It's not. It's just a smokescreen. They use the so-called Black man as a sacrifice. But as long as I'm here as Bronzebird, I will always make it my mission to make y'all understand and share the awareness of the stuff that they're trying to do. That's why I tell brothers in real life, beyond me being Bronzebird, stay the hell away from Black Lives Matter. They're not for you. But of course, brothers don't get that. And certain brothers think that they're doing a service by jumping on a trend when they don't realize they are a sacrifice only when they're dead. You're not valuable when you're alive. You're valuable when you're dead, according to Black Lives Matter. Or if you practice the other lifestyle that they akin to. Last one, which is the most important one of them all, because this tells you who they really care about and who they think the Black community is. Black women. We are committed to building a Black women affirming space free from sexism, misogyny, and male-centeredness. All of what you just heard in 13 is nothing more but feminism talking points. That's exactly what it is. They are basically using the so-called Black woman to be the Trojan horse against so-called Black men, therefore making her a spot in the double of the Black community. That's what they're doing. Y'all brothers got to pay attention to what's going on. And any sisters that's in the comment section chat or whatever, y'all have to understand this is what's happening to y'all. Y'all are being used as mules. So they have this in DC. The whole entire job of what they're trying to do, y'all, is that what they're really trying to do is say, look, this is what we want for the Black community. This is what the Black community is. And they're going to spread it to the schools because this is the art of war. The art of war is you get the women and the children. The men that's in battle, or I guess because they say the so-called Black man lost the battle, right? That their whole entire fixture is the women and the children, because you can poison them and you could let them abide by your program. And that's exactly what's taking place. So the last thing I want to say before I end this video, man, is that let me play some background stuff before. The last thing I want to say before I end this video is that what's going on right now, I hear a lot of these brothers, these certain brothers that's against Black men and all this other stuff. You know, you get a lot of those liberal so-called Black dudes, weak ass dudes that want to say, oh, Black men always complain about Black women and all these different things. And the so-called Black women, especially ones from the divestment crew in the swirling community, right? Those are the ones that always say that they want to help the Black community, and the so-called Black men that get into them talking points from being a feminist, a male feminist, they do the same thing too. Let me say something to y'all. A lot of y'all that preach that I'm helping the Black community by exposing other so-called Black men primarily and then calling so-called Black women pygmies, y'all are full of shit and y'all know it. Y'all have no interest in helping the Black community, especially a lot of you brothers on YouTube, or some of you brothers on YouTube that does this miraculous job of trying to call out sectors like the manosphere, when we all know who it is, or just in real life, when y'all sit up there and make these stupid ass articles and be under these websites, AKA Grapevine, or that Blurred dude from 2017, that make it their mission to say so-called Black men are the most horrible people. We understand and we get it. Y'all not trying to help no Black community. What you're trying to do is fulfill your position in being a simp or being a conduit to the agendas that they want to push. And that's exactly what's going on. So brothers, what I'm saying to y'all is make sure y'all understand what's going on. If you have children, if they are pushing that in your school, I'm not going to tell you to bring your child out of that school. I will never say that to you. What I will tell you is you need to take much precaution as you can to make sure your child understands exactly what the truth is about Black Lives Matter, because the Black Lives Matter is not your friend. And if you could teach your little loved one, especially your sons, to know exactly what's up, this is how we can move forward in this society. And of course, by spiritual standard, I believe that there's a great awakening coming. There's a great reckon to be coming in this society. But I can only make those aware who choose to be aware. So otherwise than that, thank you for coming in. Thank you for listening. Like and subscribe. Peace.